Today, I want to talk about a resolution, what it is, how to write it, and what they can do. So, first of all, in the context of the OKGOP rules, everyone who is a qualified Republican voter has a right to participate in our party. And it says such right shall be sacred and inviolate, and willful disregard or abridgment of such right by an officer or member of any committee of the party shall be deemed sufficient cause for the removal of such officer or committee member. This is just really a case that we should be allowed to participate in our party because our party is made up of we the people, and the point is that we get to influence our party. Um, and then in Robert's Rules of Order, it talks about how we have a right to be heard and that new business is a normal element of meetings. And new business is how you would bring resolutions. It's really also important to mention, even though we talk about resolutions a lot, that a resolution is just a main motion. So Robert's Rules of Order just says because some resolutions are complex, that's why the resolution is there, but it's just a form of a main motion. There's no difference. And a main motion, or I'm sorry, a resolution is in writing, and sometimes it has multiple statements, which we're going to get into in a minute. And resolutions, and this is throughout our rules, but resolutions can do three different things. They can direct the chairman of a county or the state or even the RNC on how to do business, and how to carry out the will of that committee, because that committee is the deliberative body talking through, debating how to do things, and then they pass resolutions or motions that then direct that chairman on how to run that party. So that's one thing they can do. They can also make amendments to the platform or amendments to the bylaws. Or they can just be a statement in support or censure or condemnation. There's a variety of ways. Anything that can be a main motion could be a resolution, and the resolution is just a written out form of that. So let's talk about resolutions. Um, so first of all, we have a platform. It's on the OKGOP website. These are some of the things in our platform, that we support the Constitution, that we want states to have any powers not enumerated to the federal government. That's a constitutional principle. That we want limited government, individual liberties, natural rights, personal moral responsibility. That Oklahoma should be a place of opportunity, and that we have just and equally applied laws. So that is our current platform. It's over 20 pages long. You can go read it on the website. Now let's talk about our rules. So the OKGOP rules have this statement that to receive endorsement and support of the Oklahoma Republican Party, you have to mark up a copy of the Republican platform saying whether you would agree or disagree with each plank. And so everyone running for office in this state as a Republican, to have our support as members of that party and as committees of that party, should have filled this out. And this would help us have a guide of like, okay, how much do they support Republican values? They say they're a Republican, but are they really? And then once they get into office, the way this can be used is we can take our platform and we can encourage our legislators or other officials to legislate and govern in a way that's in line with our platform. So that's kind of the background of different ways we can use resolutions, even in interacting with elected officials. So now let's go down to what is a resolution. So a resolution is, according to Robert's Rules of Order, a main motion with a preamble. The preamble statements will read, whereas our platform says this, whereas he has done that, or whereas he hasn't done this. And then they always end with a statement, resolved, that such and such and such and such, that we commend, such and such senator for their support of this thing that our platform said, or whatever. So there's really just two simple parts, whereas statements and resolved statements. The resolved statement is the very most important because it's the resolution. It's actually the motion itself. The preamble is just statements that give context or background. I like to back up my preamble statements in statements from the platform, planks from the platform, or in in actions or facts, whereas they passed Bill 123 or whatever. Because you want the whereas statements to not be your opinion, but the factual reasons for you making this cause. And you also want your preambles to be as short as possible. Don't write a whole paper in there. One of the reasons is people may get on board with your resolved statement, but they may disagree with one of the whereas statements, and you want the support in your favor to actually get the motion passed. So that's kind of the background. This is all there is to a resolution. They're really not that complicated. So let's look at a resolution. This is a resolution that the Washington County Republican Party County Committee passed, and it was a resolution condemning a certain bill and what was in that bill. So you can see the first whereas statement just simply quotes the GOP platform. The second whereas statement, again, just quotes the GOP platform. So just building the case. This is who we are as Republicans. This is what we've said we care about on the issues. Then after that, it is a statement of fact. What happened? What did this senator do, and why did not why? What did the senator do? So this senator authored a bill, and this was kind of the effect that had. Okay. And then we end with, now therefore be it resolved. This is the motion. And it says the body by the county committee of the Washington County GOP. And then here's our action, that we condemn the actions of Senator Daniels. So it's a condemnation. We condemn these actions for violating the Republican platform by putting forward SB 834 that expands abortion in Oklahoma. There it is. It's a simple condemnation. You could also add on to this, now therefore be it resolved that this will be published as a press release on the WCGOP website. Now therefore be it resolved that this will be forwarded to the state committee of the OKGOP to be voted on by that body. Now, so you can add different statements after that to kind of build out how you want this to take place. The other type of resolution, the one that directs like a chairman, for example, that would be, whereas the rules state that the powers reside with the people, whereas, the chairman's job is to do what this committee tells him to do. Now, therefore, this committee, tells the chairman to, make a budget available or appoint some more people or bring this to our attention or all different things. Now, therefore, be it resolved that, this be published in such and such manner. So all of that could also be another type of resolution. So this is just a simple resolution. This was kind of a statement, right? This doesn't really do anything. It's just a public statement, either condemning or affirming. I would love to pass one that affirms the senator if she were to do the opposite of what she did in this case. So that's one kind. Obviously, I covered what it would look like to direct someone through a resolution. Another kind of so those are the main uses of resolutions, and they're just main motions, and they're passed by a committee, so you can get that buy-in, and clear direction on where that committee stands or what that committee needs to do. And usually they're used for complex topics. So if it's something short and simple that you can say in a sentence and the secretary can write down, you don't need to type up a resolution for that. You just make that as a main motion during new business. Okay, there's one. Oh, so here is how in a committee meeting, I'm going to cover conventions in a second, but in a committee meeting, this is how you would ask for that resolution to be passed. So the chairman would say, we are now open for new business. You would rise, Mr. Chairman, John Doe, Precinct 1. The chairman would say, you're recognized. And then you would say, I move that we adopt the resolution that reads, and you would just immediately read that entire resolution. Once you read it, you want to hand a copy to the chairman so that your secretary is not trying to type the whole thing because they can get really long. And then the chairman can say, is there any debate? Since you made the motion, you get to speak first and last, and then otherwise the debate should alternate for and against. And there may be limitations in your body on debate. Some don't have limitations. So however you want to deal with that in a procedural way. And also amendments can be brought. So someone may say, well, I like this, but I want to, I move to amend the resolution to say, that we want this to happen in the next 2 weeks. Okay, so we need to figure out where that wording goes, and you need to debate that wording, and then you need to pass that amendment. Once that amendment is dealt with, so you deal with the amendment as it comes up on the floor. Once one amendment is dealt with, you can move back to debate, or someone else may bring a different amendment. You can also amend an amendment, but you can only amend amendments. You can't amend an amendment of an amendment. So you can only go 2 levels down on resolution, amendment, and amendment to the amendment. You can do all of that. And then the chairman eventually, or whether you have a time limit, or he can, if there's no more debate, seeing no debate, he just says, all those in favor say aye, and it's a voice vote, aye. All those opposed say nay. If it's close, you can do standing votes or other types of votes. But then once that vote is finished, the resolution is then passed by that committee, and then the secretary should include, the proper information in the minutes, and that can then be distributed as something that was passed by that body. They're a very effective tool to just do a lot of things as a deliberative body. Now, what I wanted to add in here is that what we are coming into is the quadrennial precinct meetings. And in those meetings, you have the opportunity to pass, as you see in this list, resolutions. A resolution can be a statement of any length, right? So there's not, now be it resolved that we condemn the actions of the DOJ against Donald Trump. That would be a resolution. It could have whereas statements. It doesn't have to. So those resolutions can be attached. If you want to amend the platform, you don't need to follow through on this whole whereas statements and all of that. You can just list those in planks. Also, rules changes. If you have a rule change you want, you don't need whereas statements. You just need to put in the wording of the rule change and what rule number. So, rule 6B2, I don't know, I'm just throwing out rule 27C, rule 27C, to strike the first paragraph and to instead put this information, something like that. So be prepared when you come to your precinct meetings, because all these resolutions or planks or rule changes have to be submitted at the precinct meeting. If they're passed by your precinct, that's a majority vote of whoever's there, then they need to be passed by your county convention by a majority vote. If they're passed by your county convention, they go up to the state, and they'll be included in what is voted on at the state convention. And again, a majority vote will pass those things to make them rule changes or platform changes, or just statements of our party, as in a normal resolution. So I hope this is helpful. Please get involved in our party. This party is made for the people to be involved and run. So let's show up and do that this year.